to St. Paul. We're here today and holding a press conference because today an outrageous act has taken place. We know that in at least 2 cities in the country, raids have taken place by the FBI against anti-war leaders and activists. We also know that in a couple or maybe even more cities, people have been approached. It's much nicer to have invited guests here at the house instead of uninvited ones. As Deb said this morning, my home was one of several that were raided. Also, the Anti-War Committee offices were raided this morning. The FBI gave us a search warrant, said they were looking for evidence of material support to foreign terrorist organizations. I'm sure they did not find any evidence of this, because nothing like this, I've not ever been involved in anything like this. Instead, I believe that we have been targeted as anti-war activists who speak out against our government's policies abroad. The Anti-War Committee has always opposed U.S. war in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have also stood up against U.S.-funded wars in Colombia, Palestine, and elsewhere. We are concerned with anywhere that the government is spending our tax dollars, with anywhere that the U.S. government is engaged in war and supporting repressive regimes. It should not be a crime to be concerned about the policies of our own government. It should not be a crime to speak out against the policies that our government carries out in other countries. It should not be a crime to have ideas opposed to those of our government. But that is the only thing that the government could say was done here at this house, at other houses, or at the Anti-War Committee office. The fact is that the people of Colombia, the people of Palestine, just like the peoples of Iraq and Afghanistan, live in war-torn countries where their rights are not guaranteed and where the U.S. government funds violence against their people every day. Terrorism is carried out when villages are eradicated, when trade unionists are murdered. That is terrorism, and that is supported by our government. People who organize demonstrations, who try to educate here in the United States or within these other countries about the crimes in their own communities, try to call out for justice, are not terrorists, are not criminals. We will not be silenced by this harassment. Right. That's right. They can harass us till the cows come home. That's right. But we're not going to stop. Because the people of Palestine, the people of Colombia, peoples of the world are crying out for peace and justice. And until that is served upon them, we will not be silent in opposing the U.S. abroad. So again, I want to say today that there has not been any material support for terrorism carried out by the people whose homes were raided today, or by the Anti-War Committee whose office was raided today. And it is shameful that our government would invade our homes, go through all our things, call us to court with no charges against us. And we will not be silent. Instead, this will make us speak up louder, demanding peace with justice. Thank you.
The Anti-War Committee office was raided today. They took our computer, they took our checkbooks. They're attempting to stop our organization from functioning. The Anti-War Committee is a 10-year grassroots local peace group that struggles against U.S. intervention in Colombia, Palestine, and Afghanistan. We're a group that works for justice. We're a group that works for peace. And this type of harassment is completely outrageous. Yes. This morning, they entered our home where my 1.5-year-old was asleep. They took all the paperwork relating to politics that exist in our home. We're being targeted because we're political people. That is what they're looking for, evidence that we're political, evidence that we question the U.S.'s policies abroad. And I would like to say for the record that is not a crime. Matter of fact, it makes me a person of conscience. It doesn't make me a criminal. That's right.
Having a conscience is not a crime.
The Anti-War Committee is being targeted because they say that we travel abroad and support terrorists. The fact of the matter is the Anti-War Committee Committee sends delegations of people to do political accompaniment with people who are being targeted by their governments. People are safer in these countries when Americans are with them with American passports. The fact is that Colombia is the world's most dangerous place to be a trade unionist in this world because of the U.S. tax dollars that our government is sending to Colombia. We have billions of dollars to the repressive regime of Colombia, to the oligarchy of Colombia, and they use this money to terrorize people that are just like us. People that are right here in this yard right now, people who are activists, and that is outrageous. The people that we meet with on these trips are not terrorists. The people we meet with on these trips are women's leaders, human rights groups, and unions, and they are fighting for the same things that the people who are right here on this lawn fight for. They fight for justice, and they fight for justice in countries that are repressive regimes that are supported and funded by our government. Our government is the one that is funding terrorism abroad.
That's right.
Our tax dollars are spent to fund terrorism daily. Israel gets more money in military aid than any other country in the world, and that Colombia is only number 3. And both of these countries, being an activist itself, is a crime, and we think that all people should have the right to struggle for justice, whether or not they're in Palestine, Colombia, or even the United States. We, the Anti-War Committee, are being targeted because we are incredibly effective at opposing U.S. foreign policy. Protesting wars is not a crime, and we call for all people of conscience to say no to this harassment and this campaign of terror. We think it's important for people to show that the Anti-War Committee is not alone. We are one organization of many locally, and we are one organization of many nationally. And together we are saying with one voice that the U.S. should get out of Afghanistan, the U.S. should get out of Iraq, the U.S. should end military aid to Israel, and the U.S. should end military aid to Colombia. And this message is united, and being terrorized by the FBI will not cause those divisions because we are an incredibly united movement, and I think that the FBI will be quite surprised.
And I'm here on behalf of LAM. We're standing in solidarity with the people whose homes were raided today. We know that they are targeted for political support of the people because they give political support to the people of Palestine and Colombia. All of our organizations work with organizations on the ground who are fighting for peace and justice in these countries. The FBI is using the fact that we support people fighting against Israeli apartheid in Palestine and Colombia oligarchies as justification for attacking anti-war movements. The U.S. government is using the label of terrorists to silence and to intimidate us, but we are not silenced, we are not intimidated, and neither are you, obviously.
No, we're not.
It is the U.S. government that should look at their policies. Those indeed are the terrorist policies. After a 21-year occupation and 2 wars on Iraq and 3 million people call, that is terrorism.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
A 60-year, we give unconditional monetary and political support to Israel, which has occupied and terrorized the people of Palestine for 60 years. Even today in Afghanistan, thousands of people are being killed every day with the drone, not every day, but are being killed with the drone attacks. And in Pakistan, it is outrageous as that country is enduring the worst flood known for a long time. We continue to bomb villages. That is terrorism. So we are here, obviously opposing what happened to these activists, but we are also here opposing to the terrorist activities of the U.S. government, and we will continue to do so.
I want to say that I was shocked and appalled to receive a phone call this morning at 8 o'clock saying that some of my friends in the peace community's homes had been raided by the FBI. I sent out a message immediately to say, please come out and support our friends, people in the peace community who are being unjustly treated by these FBI officers. I have received calls. My phone has been ringing every minute since I put out that email. And I want you to know that the city is watching. I have received calls from New York, from Chicago, from Milwaukee, and the world is watching. The United States is watching. And we must stop this atrocity that is happening in our community. I want to say that I called Senator Klobuchar's office, and I called Keith Ellison's office. I got a call back from Senator Klobuchar, one of her aides, and he said, this was an executive order carried out by the Judicial Department, and there's nothing we can do about it. I said, yes, there is a lot that you can do about it. You have these oppressive laws that allow this kind of thing to be happening to your constituents. You get out there and you fight for us who have been fighting for peace for many, many years. And so let's get after our representatives and say, support your constituents. Peace is patriotic. No more war. End war. This is what terrorism is all about.
I'm one of the RNC 8, one of 8 activists who were arrested preemptively back in 2008 before the Republican National Convention. The Friday before the convention even happened, and we were all 8 of us were charged with terrorism. And I think that's an important part of what's going on here, is talking about what it means to be called a terrorist or associated with terrorists, how these charges have become a central part of my life for the past 2 years. And though the charges have been reduced to no longer be considered terrorism, and several of the RNCH charges have now been dropped, it's still been a central part of our lives and taken up a tremendous amount of energy, taken it away from our communities over the past 2 years. And we haven't even begun our trial yet. It's set to start at the beginning of October, or at the end of October, October 28th. I think I just want to say, for everyone who thinks that they have nothing to hide or nothing to worry about when stuff like this happens, I think it's important to acknowledge that, first of all, these groups that are being targeted were totally open. All right, they were public about what they were doing, public about their support for oppressed people around the globe. And now their lives are being diverted, and the work that they would do in their communities are being taken away from those communities and disrupted. It also has a chilling effect on every other activist everywhere to think that just because you speak out against war, you could have your house raided by the FBI. I think it's important to make a point that for everyone who thinks that infringements on your liberty are okay because you're not a criminal and they're only after the real criminals. Well, I would ask you to think about what happens tomorrow when they decide that you are the one that is illegal. And all this time you've been letting these rights and freedoms slip away and you never spoke out. One of the organizations that is accused that people are supporting is FARC. But FARC never broke down my door with guns drawn. The Ramsey County Sheriff's Department did. All right? These anti-war activists didn't murder Oscar Grant or Fong Lee. All right? The police did. All right? The anti-war committee, they're not going around and searching people's houses and disrupting their lives. The FBI is. But when my freedom and the freedom of my friends was under attack, the U.S. government wasn't there to help us. The community was. And so I'm proud here now to stand with my community of people who care about each other and say this is not okay. And we will resist this type of behavior until the end. Thank you.
Fighting for peace is not a crime. Stop the harassment now. Fighting for peace is not a crime. Stop the harassment now.
We thank everyone for coming and for all of the community coming out to speak out against this outrageous action that has happened in our city against our movement. Because even though it has happened against a few homes, it is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on all of our movements. It is an attack on the people, and the real war criminals, the real criminals are the ones who are waging wars and oppressing people around the country. It's not those of us who are standing up and speaking out. So thank you.